Will you stop searching for your kidnapped child if police is incapable of doing it? Or would you give up morality of existence for your parental love? In 2013, director Denis Villeneuve delivered a movie so deeply horrifying it makes the audience disturbed to create of their gut. Prisoners isn't just a story, but it questions mental illness. A human could grow over incidents in his past ravaging entire city being terrified. The darkness doesn't end with jurisdiction but by the justice which should be more than life imprisonment. The story opens on Thanksgiving Day in a gloomy, overcast Pennsylvania suburb. Keller Dover, a deeply religious, hyper-prepared survivalist contractor, takes his family, wife Grace, teenage son Ralph, and young daughter Anna, to have dinner with their neighbors, Franklin and Nancy Birch, and their daughters, Eliza and Joy. After dinner, the two young girls, Anna and Joy, go outside to play. Ralph and Eliza are supposed to keep an eye on them, but they get distracted. The girls wander down the street and notice a dilapidated, old RV parked in the neighborhood. When the families realize the little girls have been gone too long, panic sets in. Ralph remembers seeing the creepy RV earlier, sparking the initial lead. Detective Loki, an eccentric but highly capable investigator with a perfect track record, is assigned to the case. That night, police locate the RV at a nearby gas station. The driver, a severely intellectually disabled young man named Alex Jones, panics and crashes the RV into the woods. Loki arrests him, but a thorough forensic search yields absolutely no physical evidence, DNA, or signs of the girls inside the vehicle. Alex has the IQ of a 10-year-old and refuses to speak coherently during interrogation.
A lie detector doesn't work if you don't understand the questions.
Well, maybe he wasn't on his own. How could he drive an RV if he has an IQ of a 10-year-old?
Due to a lack of evidence, the police are forced to release him after 48 hours. Driven by grief and rage, Keller confronts Alex outside the police station. As Keller grabs him, Alex whispers a chilling, cryptic phrase that only Keller hears. "They didn't cry until I left them." He tells Detective Loki, but Loki dismisses it because no one else heard it, and Alex refuses to repeat it. Frustrated by the legal system, Keller decides to take matters into his own hands. He tracks Alex down, kidnaps him, and locks him inside an abandoned, freezing apartment building that Keller owns. Keller enlists Franklin Birch to help him. When Franklin sees the horrific, makeshift torture chamber Keller has built, he is deeply conflicted but ultimately stands by out of desperation to find his daughter Joy. Keller brutally beats and tortures Alex for days, trying to force a confession, but Alex only speaks in riddles and whimpers. Meanwhile, Detective Loki follows parallel leads. He discovers the body of a man tied up and rotting in the basement of a local priest, Father Patrick Dunn. Under interrogation, the priest admits he killed the men because the stranger confessed to him that he had murdered 16 children and was waging a war against God. During a candlelight vigil for the missing girls, Loki spots a suspicious, twitchy man creeping around the crowd. When Loki approaches him, the man flees. Loki later tracks this new suspect, Bob Taylor, down to a suburban house. Inside, Loki finds a house of horrors. The walls are covered in intricate drawings of mazes, and locked plastic crates are filled with venomous snakes, blood-soaked children's clothing, and books of mazes. Loki arrests Taylor, but during interrogation, the suspect remains silent, frantically drawing mazes on the table. In a moment of frantic chaos, Taylor grabs a police officer's gun and commits suicide right in front of Loki without revealing anything. Forensic tests later reveal that the blood on the clothes in Taylor's house was actually pig's blood. Taylor was a delusional copycat who had been kidnapped as a child himself, obsessed with the mythology of the real abductor. Back at the abandoned building, Nancy Birch discovers what Keller is doing to Alex. Horrified but desperate, she doesn't stop Keller, though she refuses to participate. Keller continues to push Alex to the brink, eventually trapping him in a plywood box under scalding water. Suddenly, a massive breakthrough occurs. Joy Birch is found wandering the streets, drugged but alive. Keller rushes to the hospital to see her. When he asks Joy where Anna is, the heavily sedated girl looks at Keller's face, grows terrified, and mutters. Loki thinks she means Keller is the kidnapper, but Keller realizes the terrifying truth. Joy recognized the smell or environment of a place Keller had recently visited. Keller flees the hospital, with Loki giving chase.
Go downstairs, don't let him go.
Keller manages to lose Loki and drives straight to the home of Holly Jones, Melissa Leo, Alex Jones's unassuming, elderly aunt who lives in the neighborhood. Keller had visited her earlier under the guise of a grieving father. When Keller confronts Holly at gunpoint, she catches him off guard. She pulls a gun on him first and forces him to drink a heavy sedative disguised as juice. Holly reveals the entire, dark conspiracy. She and her late husband were once deeply religious people until their young son died of cancer. In their devastating grief, they turned entirely against God. To avenge their son, they decided to become monsters, kidnapping children from devout families to strip away their faith, making them prisoners to destroy their parents' belief in a higher power. Alex Jones was actually their very first victim, a boy named Barry Milland, whom they kidnapped decades ago and brainwashed so severely that he forgot his own name. Bob Taylor was another one of their escaped, traumatized victims. Holly forces the drugged Keller to walk out to her backyard. Hidden beneath an old car is a deep, subterranean pit covered by a heavy wooden door. She shoots Keller in the leg and forces him into the dark pit, sealing him underground. Inside the dark hole, Keller finds his daughter Anna's tiny whistle on the ground, realizing she is trapped somewhere in the house above. Detective Loki arrives at Holly's house shortly after to break the news that Alex has been found tortured by Keller. Walking into the house, Loki finds Holly preparing to inject the captive, heavily drugged Anna with a lethal dose of toxin. A split-second shootout ensues. Loki kills Holly but takes a bullet to the forehead, bleeding profusely. Blinded by his own blood, Loki scoops up the dying Anna, runs to his car, and drives like a maniac through a raging snowstorm to the hospital. Anna is saved and begins to recover. A few days later, the forensic team is wrapping up their investigation of the Jones property. The ground is freezing over, and the search is winding down. Loki stands outside in the quiet, snowy yard next to the car parked over the hidden pit. As the wind settles, Loki hears a faint, distant sound cutting through the cold air. He stops and listens intently. Down in the pitch black of the pit, a freezing, barely conscious Keller Dover is blowing frantically into his daughter's tiny plastic whistle. Loki pauses, looks toward the ground, and the film cuts to black. If you like this recap, tap the subscribe button below, smash the share, like and press the bell icon to get further mind-bending and thrilling cinematic recaps.